Disaster and Cassidy had a battle at the Ether event. It got shut down for reasons that have been pointed in the direction of gang activity on both sides. So we're not going to use that as an argument for or against one of the other sides since they both using it. We're going to use that as a neutral. So the rounds that we could judge their performances on is the one in the garage, the one that was full 3 rounds apiece. And like unbiased opinion is rare to find on the internet because so many people got access to it with their own little Rudy Poo opinions. But I ain't put out no review just cause I wanted to give time to let the hype die down, get plenty of time to rewatch the battle over and over and over and really pay attention, ignoring the hype from the crowd, no matter whose side it was on. A battle by definition, a battle is a verbal assault against 2 rappers or MCs. So line for line, what are you saying to attack this opponent? Now, based on that, Diz had a hot first round. Diz's second round was a personal attack on Cass with the AR thing. Whether or not it has been said before or publicly noted before, it was still a legit attack. In the third round, Dizaster, he really he messed up pretty bad, and he couldn't recover from it in the time limit. So he had a decent, and a trash. Cassidy, his first round, it was hot, and when I say hot, I mean he had flow, he had delivery, he had bars. Well, okay, I'm gonna say he had bars. He had punchlines, but like that, he had punchlines. Was he saying anything that was just like super ill, legendary quote? People finna start biting this line raw? No. But his what really edged it towards Cass was his impersonation of Dizaster. Dizaster had a nice flow in the first one. Cassidy had a nice flow in the first one as well. But his, enactment of Dizaster, while still having pretty good lines, that edged it towards in Cass' direction. And that's he had. I mean, when you got the opponent and the whole opponent's other side, like jumping up and down, screaming, like, okay, you went in on them pretty hard, and that's undeniable. So the first one, based on that alone, it's pretty safe to give it to Cass. I mean, Dizaster even gave him dap and laughed, and the whole garage was up in arms jumping. So Cass got the first round, man. I mean, he just got it. Like, let's just be honest. Second round, Dizaster coming at him with the AR ab thing after some sloppy freestyle. The sloppy freestyle definitely took away from his performance. If Diz had came with like his writtens and then transitioned to the AR thing, then he would have had a lot more momentum in his second round. But to just come with the AR, talking about your man on the couch and, you lock the door on him, whatever. His delivery with that whole attack was mediocre. I get that that's like a vulnerable spot for Cass, but Dizaster didn't capitalize on it enough to give him the tally on the board for that round. He just was like, it's okay, but if Cass come with something equal or better, they'll neutral each other out for the round. I mean, a lot of people don't even know what's up with AR and Cass. Who really knows even, you know what I'm saying? But AR said Cass, Cass is just not a street dude. He let him sleep on the couch when he got out of jail. He didn't give him no money. He didn't give AR no lawyer money. He told him he ain't had no money for him. Whatever. AR felt salty about that. AR apparently killed somebody in front of Cassidy's house, and Cassidy allegedly locked the door on AR, and or not necessarily on AR, just locked the door. AR couldn't get in to seek cover or whatever, and that was it. That's the gist of it. Not taking away nothing from it or trying to minimize it, but that's the little story. But I mean, Cass put AR on. And, they went to trial, they went to court. Cass didn't say nothing. He didn't point the finger, say, AR killed him. I ain't killed him. None of that. Did Cass claim that he killed somebody? Yeah, in a way. Cass was talking about he caught a body case or whatever, but he didn't do no shooting. So I mean, is it music hype? Yeah, sure. In previous lines that Cass has said years before, but after all of that, AR came out with a video with not a video, music video, but a in-person live video in the hood, in AR hood, with Cassidy there talking about, Cass a good nigga, Cass a real nigga. And this is AR saying this after all the bad mouth talking or whatever. So I'm just like, both. I mean, Cass said and AR said there was some fabrication in that, in what AR said. So it's just like Cass didn't say nothing at the trial. AR after the fact talking about Cass a real nigga in AR hood. It's just like, can you really attack him on that? Because who really knows what happened? AR be hot, man. Who knows? But that second round of the battle, Cass came out there with the I dare you. I double dare you. If you do, my dogs will air you. I think that's how it went. So, I mean, Cass kind of pulled his card right there. But Dizaster goes on after the battle to say that all Cass' entourage was gang members, and one of them was a legal armed bodyguard for Cass, and he's the same bodyguard for Nicki Minaj. So the dude is like official serious. The big dude with the glasses that was tall. I mean, that's what Dizaster said. So he said that the whole vibe in the garage was one of tension because all Cassidy's dudes were like legit killers from the gang life, and they all had guns on them or whatever. This is Dizaster saying this. Now, when you come into that point where you making like excuses or like you defending yourself, like they was all strapped, they was real niggas, I ain't wanna. That's not really on the offensive side. So you kind of coming up with a reason as to why you performed the way you did, which is usually not in a good way. So Cass, they might have. Dizaster was spitting, quote unquote real stuff, real attacks against Cass. But I read somewhere that AR did not even talk to Dizaster. So was Dizaster just lying, telling me I talked to AR? Maybe. Cass and Dizaster, second round kind of. I mean, if you weigh the realness of Dizaster stuff and you weigh just the flow patterns and punchlines with Cassidy performance, they kind of cancel each other out. You can argue that, and like remove all the screaming from on camera, because Dizaster would say some stuff that was just like a filler line. That was just something to get to the next punch, and the dude would be in the back going crazy. And I'm just like, really? You know what I mean? But on the same token, Cass people would do that on some stuff that wasn't as hot as they reacted like it was. So, take away all the screaming, and then they was right by the camera. Like, the camera was cracking. Like, because they were screaming so loud. And as soon as they stopped screaming, the rest of the garage was quiet in more than one case. So, remove all that, hollering and hyping out that you hear after every other, Cass, rebuttal. But just listen to what he was saying. He was flowing, he was dropping punchlines, and he was consistent. So his performance outdid Dizaster's, especially when Dizaster messed up with all that fumbling freestyle in the third round. Cassidy's third round was neat. Not neat like, super great and polished and well performed. It was just a solid third round. I can't quote one thing right now from what Cass said, but I know he performed better than Dizaster did the third round. So if Cass edged the first one, he definitely got the third one, and the second one was debatable, depending on preference. It's arguable that Cass did 3-0. It's arguable that Cass did 2-1, but it is not at all arguable, just based on word for word, line for line, punch for punch. It's not debatable that Dizaster got the better of Cass. Cass got the better of Dizaster. Was it by a whole bunch? Y'all can debate that. But let's just be honest. Cass got the better of him. Like his delivery was more well put together. And Dizaster admits that on tape. He said, "Man, I wasn't there. I wasn't myself. I was thrown off." And but he said, Dizaster said, "But Cass didn't beat me. I beat myself." That's what Dizaster said. Look, if that's what you really want to go with, just because you salty, because you was hyping up how you outrode Eminem and all that, and that's what you did on tape, the performance that you did is what you did on tape, which was not outwriting Eminem on any song or freestyle. And you come up with, I beat myself. If you did, then that's still a loss on your side of the board. And the only other side of the board is Cassidy. The W got to go somewhere. So I mean, Dizaster, he's still accepting it, but it's honest battle fans got to admit Cassidy got the better of him on this one. Now, was Cass as impressive as I thought he would be? No, not at all. I mean, the old Cass was like ridiculous. I don't think we ever gonna get that back. But you got to respect that that's what he was capable of at one time. And is it completely gone from him to possibly get back to that? No, maybe not. But it was Cass's first battle in 12 years. And for that, I think he did pretty good. So, battle fans, the general consensus is Cassidy won. I personally think he won. Dizaster, he just did too much freestyling, and the freestyling wasn't dope at all. He was coming up with some stuff that some kid could come up with in the car, in the back seat, you know what I'm saying? It was just rhyming words. Yo, there's the door. I need to look to the left some more. I looked at the basketball score. I was like, wow, how can they get more? Like, it's just, stuff like that. And it was just like, what? This is not the time to be going out on a whim here. This is a battle. So there you have it. That's the inside stuff on the Dizaster Cassidy battle. Cass won. Word is he's supposed to be battling Daylight next for 400,000. That's what the word is, according to Daylight himself. And you saw Cass tell him, well, get at me, you know how to reach me, we can do that. So, man, I'll let y'all, let it soak in for a minute, let it marinate. Your boy Dizaster got beat. He did get beat, based on consistent lines and a solid performance.